Shalom. Let me get straight into this lesson. I'm going to start off with out of this book, Who is Esau Edom? Page 63. It says, in the Talmud, they got Jesus, but his true name is Yahweh Shai. Is referred to as a sorcerer, idolater, seducer, blasphemer, and a fool. It says he committed bestiality, sexual perversion, and performed magic. It assigns 4 deaths for Yahweh stoning, burning, decapitation, and strangulations. The so-called Jews' assault against the Hamashiach, the Messiah, and the Israelites is historic, as admitted by the Jew Bernard Lazari, which is the Edomite. So I'm going to be going into some lessons dealing with this Babylonian Talmud. I was actually doing an in-depth study going into all the madness with that. It's a lot of stuff you don't know. And these people into some real dark, demonic stuff. And these are not the real Israelites. They actually created the religion you know today as Judaism. And it's based into the Babylonian Talmud. They don't believe in your Messiah. Right? They don't believe in your so-called white Jesus, which we know the Messiah wasn't a so-called white man. That's a big demon in you Christians' mind. So when you say that name Jesus, is come along with that so-called white image, that Edomite, that was repainted by these different painters in the likeness of a so-called white person to put the witchcraft on the people's minds. So when they think about the Messiah, that default image comes up. But he actually was a so-called black man in the flesh. And he came from a descendant of so-called black people. So I'm going to play this video, and this is these J people, those tiny tops. When I say tiny tops, you know who I'm talking about. And hold up, they go to that, they call it the Wailing Wall, where actually there was a Roman fort. And they actually so-called pray with their head covered. Did not the scripture say not to pray with your head covered? These are not the people of the Lord. And they do that perverted rock back and forth. That's perversion. Let me get into this short video, and this is these J people doing this is like a graduation ceremony of them completing the Babylonian Talmud. And we've been telling you people they don't believe in the Bible. They don't believe in the Messiah. Your so-called white Jesus, but he really was a so-called black man. Let's play this real quick.
Much to occupy one's time, so much out there that dazzles the eye and the imagination, and yet people will rise at 5 a.m. or begin at 11 p.m. to do what?
And that's in MetLife Stadium. Hear what he's saying. So all these J people actually was the graduation. Let me go here so you can see. It says, after years of studying ancient texts, which would be the Babylonian Talmud, Jews, which would be the Amalekites, however you want to say it, celebrated by the tens of thousands at MetLife Stadium. They control everything. They control your economy. They control your money. They control your news. They control your reality. They control your school system. They control it all. 1 second.
To study a text written more than 1,500 years ago in a difficult language, which is intellectually challenging with many arcane subjects.
On Wednesday, some 100,000 people gathered at MetLife Stadium to celebrate the completion of the current cycle. Together, they read the final lines of the final page of the Talmud.
Of the what? The Talmud. Not the Bible. The Talmud. What is the Babylonian Talmud? Let's get into this lesson. We've been telling you. Matter of fact, let me open up with this scripture right here. And they're going to label this video anti-Semitic because, that's the term that they created. So they can, any kind of truth that comes out, they can just throw the word anti-Semitic in front of it and then call it hate speech. And then, take our videos down. That's actually hateful. to go against the truth. That's actually demonic to go against the truth. That's the real hate speech. Ezekiel 36:5. And if you're supposed to be the people, why you got to do all these legal and all um, this maneuvering around to avoid dealing with the truth? The truth should be able to stand at whatever you say. Ezekiel 36:5. It says, therefore does say Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. This in your Bible, not the Babylonian Talmud. Surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea. What does this word Idumea mean? I'm going to show you real quick. We're going to do this in a chronological order. Why they put the Greek word in the Old Testament, so-called, when it's supposed to be Hebrew? They play a lot of games. It says Idumea at the very top is the Greek and Roman name from the biblical land of Edom. Edomites. So now this going to make sense. They actually made this so confusing so you won't be able to understand the Bible. That's why they threw words, Greek words, and they got Latin words. They got English. All this confusion. It says, and against all Edom, which have appointed my land into their possession. Who the hell is in the land of Israel right now? Who in the land? The J people. What the Most High said they'll do. They have appointed my land into their possession. The Edomites, with the joy of their heart. And that's why you saw them doing that stupid dance. With despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. So they actually stole our identity. That's the biggest case of identity theft that you ever saw. So they don't believe in the Bible. And a lot of you Judeo-Christians, you stupid. The lessons I got coming up, it's going to tear all that Christian stuff down. That Judeo-Christianism, it's going to tear it all down. You Christians you on a very low level. You don't even know these people hate you. Let's go here. So I'm going to show you something real quick. It says Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock. You're going to be hearing a lot of, I'm pretty sure if you're in the loop, you've been hearing a lot of this entity called BlackRock. That's pretty much a shield for the J people to control the world. It says was born on November 2nd, 1952 and grew up in a Jewish family. That's all you need to know. We told you they control everything. These are Amalekites, Edom. This is the head tribe of the nation of Edom. Right here. So a part of this great deception is they actually put this image in your mind. So when you say the J name, by default, this image comes up in your mind. And you see all these Christians, these scholarly Christians, so-called, supposed to be learned, supposed to know every little fundamental, they can't even get the basics right. There was no J until 1524. So that's impossible that his name was Jivas. And you got to be stupid to not understand that. But a lot of you Christians are. Let's go here. It says right here. Matter of fact, let me show you something real quick. I got this I want to show you this real quick. It says, check this out. And this is why they gave you the imagery of the so-called devil, which that's all based on Greek mythology. The image of, as you know, as Satan. First off, let's get this clear. Satan just means adversary. That's not his personal name. Now we say that so you can know what we're saying. But Satan, when you go into the Hebrew, it just means adversary. It's not, as you know, as Satan's personal name. And they gave you this image. These Edomites gave you this Greek mythology based on the Greek so-called god Pan and Hades and all this other madness of what you thought the so-called devil looked. And he don't have no description. It's not no description in the Bible. That's the only book that we go off of as a reference. Now, we use other books that complement the Bible, like the book of Josephus and so on and so forth. But the authority source, we're not reading out no Babylonian Talmud. Our authority is the Holy Bible. Now, when we go into like the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, that's adding already to the scriptures. That's going in more detailed work. It says, how I imagine evil as a kid. This is what we was taught to the left. This created image that they put in your mind that don't exist, but you'll tell these stupid Christians that this image is based on the Greek god Pan, and they still can't fucking get it because they retarded. But actually, how it actually looks. You got Kill Gates, Dr. Falsify. Who was this? The other devil, George Soros, and this guy, I can't think of his name. But they all small hats for the most. They eat them, these Edomites. Let's go here. I'm gonna show you something so you won't think I'm making anything up. You Christians are unlearned. They don't know really nothing. What is the Babylonian Talmud? Let's get into that information. It says the Babylonian Talmud is a central authoritative text in rabbinic Judaism. We see the Israelites, we not know religion of Judaism. They created that. Compiled by Jewish, that this word Jewish. We never called ourselves Jews. We never called ourselves Jewish. We never called ourselves Israeli. That's all new speak. It says Jewish scholars in ancient Babylonia, modern Iraq, from the 3rd to the 6th centuries CE, serving a vast encyclopedia of Jewish law, which is their law, what they go out for, what they believe in, based on the demonic stuff. It says ethics, philosophy, and law based on early Messianic, they trying to say Moses, and oral Torah. So this is something that they created. The Babylonian Talmud is based in the ancient kingdom of Babylon, which they did a lot of witchcraft, a lot of sorcery, and a lot of casting spells. And that's why the average Christian and anybody that's in this system, they still under this some kind of form of witchcraft coming from Christianity. That's why a lot of people even say that they're not Christians. They could be into another religion, but they still use the J name. They still say all these Christian sayings. You see what I'm saying? It goes deep. It says adherents of Judaism do not believe in Yahushua was the Messiah or a prophet, nor do they believe he was the son of Yahweh. So the J people, I don't know if you knew this or not. Matter of fact, let me go read this right here because I wanted to transfer this over too. But I just screenshotted it. It says, yes, the overwhelming majority of the 14 to 15 million Jewish, or they should say Amalekites, people worldwide do not believe in the Messiah, or the Son of God. They don't believe Yahushua is the Messiah or the Son of God. Right? So I bet a lot of you Christians didn't know that. And I'm gonna be getting into this Babylonian Talmud. And this is when I say it's heavy stuff I'm gonna be getting into, it's gonna blow your mind. Let's I didn't want to make this too long. Matter of fact. Oh, right here. This is what I was reading from my phone. And I got this from Google AI. It says, yes, the overwhelming majority of the 14 to 15 million J people worldwide do not believe that Yahushua is the Messiah or the son of Yahweh, as this contradicts central tenets of Jewish theology regarding monotheism and the requirements of the Masonic age. So they don't believe in the Messiah. But they'll tell you, you stupid Christians, your stupid pastor tell you to pray for Israel, but they refer to you as Goyim, sheeple. You know, the Gentiles, you know what I'm saying? The heathen. Which you are the heathen. All right? But you Edomites, so-called white people that's in America and throughout the whole world in these so-called European countries. I'm running out of time. Hopefully this lesson was edifying. Kahala Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rachai, Kodash. Shalom.